covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome to episode 154 of the DC Crossover. I'm Ben Simpson. That is Mike Cerrone. Glad to be back. Glad to have you with us for the start of football season. You can find the show on Twitter at the DC Crossover, and for Mike's Twitter at, or I guess X, whatever it is now, at Cerrone16. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, DC Crossover Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You can find the full video episodes and, of course, the talk. DC Crossover Podcast on TikTok. Yes, we are back. Took a little break.
Surprised you remember all that.
I know. This the steel trap up here, this brain of mine. I can remember that, and then I can't remember where I put my keys. We are back. It's been a while. I mean, look, the reality is there really hasn't been much going on in DC sports over the last month or so. So now there is, as football is back. College football, pro football, obviously kicking off this Thursday as my Detroit Lions start the season off for the NFL. But so we decided now would be a great time to come back, and we'll, of course, we'll be with you all football season long, talking about the Commanders, giving you kind of our reactions like a day later or so, depending on kind of when the game is. And sharing some of our thoughts on the Commanders games and all of pro football and also some college insights as well, because of course, us being the degenerate gamblers we're going to be giving out picks. We got a lot of new stuff to talk about on the show today, Mike. We've got a new Survivor Challenge. We got some NFL sweats. We got a lot to get into. But first, let's catch up a little bit. I wanted to find out how things have been going. And before we dive into all the ways we're going to lose money on this NFL season.
I mean, yeah, it's been a little while. I mean, I know we came back sometime in July and we were like, all right, let's get back after it and whatnot. And that was after the cruise and everything. But, it's just kind of been kind of crazy because obviously, as you know, I coach high school golf, and golf season is nuts because it starts in the end of July. So it's like...
Right.
Every single day I'm at the golf course, which is not bad because when I can, get on the courses for free for the team, I get to play too.
That's a great break.
I'll take that all day. And then I went on a golf trip near the middle of July and everything like that. So, like you said, we definitely felt like this was the time, obviously, to come back because, we planned on it in the first place. But obviously you moving and different things of that nature. It's just been kind of a hectic last, we'll say 2 or 3 months for the most part. But like you said, started the NFL season. We want to make our picks and all that kind of stuff. And, it's also having some things look up that we really wanted to come back and talk about as well, which we'll get into in the coming weeks with the Nats and, drafting Dylan Cruz, as we previously talked about in one of the last few episodes, and obviously Robert Wood and all these different guys, or excuse me, James Wood and Robert Hassel and all these different guys that are coming down the pipeline for the Nats, which we'll get into probably later in the MLB season, probably about a month from now or so. But overall, it's definitely going to be fun because we were talking about it off air and we were trying to figure out what kind of things we could do as a show and all that kind of jazz. But just in general, it's definitely been crazy last couple months. But just to start off, I wanted to talk about my gripe with Costco still.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about, here's the thing. I'm thinking about getting a Costco Visa card.
Oh, you're not talking about a membership card. You're talking about an actual
No.
Costco credit card. So what are the benefits of the Costco credit card?
So you get cash back, and you get 4% for the first year or something like that for gas and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's great and all. And it'll obviously make me go get gas at Costco because sometimes I use the Upside app and I have $130 on there and stuff like that. But the problem I have with Costco, and you'll kind of get a kick out of this. So the first things first is there was no carts in the area readily available to use. So I had to go back in the parking lot to go find a cart.
Oh,
and
wait. So you're saying you park, you walk in to there's that big area where usually there's rows and rows and rows of carts waiting for you to snap them up and go. Zero.
Zippy.
Zippy.
Cero,
Wow.
I think they say in Spanish.
That is. Wow.
And and I was like, all right. And then I saw a couple people like talking to that first person greeter. They were
Yeah.
like, where are your carts? Like, obviously they're either being used or they're out in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
meanwhile, that guy has nothing to do with anything. He's there just saying hello, making sure you got to do your little flash of the membership card, make
Yeah.
sure you're allowed in. Whoa, 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 buddy. Let me see the
Yeah.
card before I let you in here. He has
And the
nothing
best
to do
part
with the
is
cards. He's the
they don't
bouncer.
they don't even check the cards half the time. They just see like a Costco card that could be a library card that's
Yeah.
a library called Costco.
As long
and
as
they would
as
let
long
you
as
in.
your card has like the same color scheme as the Costco card, because you're right. Like you just have to flash it, and they're just like, "Yep." They just give you the nod, like, "Yep."
So yeah, the little nod.
Yeah.
And then the best part about it was, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back out in the zoo, which is the parking lot at Chantilly, because that's like the go-to Costco that I go to nowadays, because it's a little bit closer to where I live and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing about it was I go back out in the jungle, and I get a cart, and I go on in, and I'm perusing and everything like that. But like there are people out there, and I've heard this been said a million times where it's like an outing for families.
Oh yeah.
Like people say like think about like, hey, we're going to the movies. Some families say, hey, we're going to Costco. And it's like I don't understand I mean, you have kids running around grabbing like samples of like, baked potatoes or whatever the hell they're making in those microwaves. And then all of a sudden like they're like, no, we need your adult over here to grab a sample. And then they're like running back, and I mean they're like literally zigzagging back and forth like they're running away from a alligator or something.
It's a zoo. No, you're right. A zoo is
Seriously.
a perfect way to describe. I mean, it's a zoo with like no cages. That's what it is. It's like because the animals are running and that's the thing. It's like when I was a kid, because I did go with my dad to Costco every now and then, but like it wasn't a preferred like destination. Like I would have loved to just stay at home. Like there was no. Probably the only time I went was maybe my other parent, like maybe my mom wasn't around, so my dad was like, "Oh, I got to bring him to Costco so he's not at home by himself setting the house on fire." But like, it's not even. I mean, from a kid's perspective, Costco just seems insane. It's just a gigantic warehouse. You could easily get lost. I mean, I feel like we've all gotten lost in a Costco at some point because the aisles are so long, and like you could just next thing you know, your dad's in where the milk is, and you're suddenly outside, where the carts are. You're like, how did this happen?
And the best
terrifying.
part is like the aisles aren't like a aisle at like Shoppers or Giant or whatever where it says like 1, 2. It's like A76. And you're like, where am I right now? Like I'm next to these pots and pans, and all of a sudden there's a lantern next to me.
Yeah.
So I get in there, right, and these people that are just like using this as like a holiday, they go out there, and meanwhile, like you said, I was always the guy where I knew my mom went to Costco. And she was always like one of the first people there. She would come out, and then all of a sudden, I would be there home, ready to empty the 7 cases of water she got.
Oh yeah,
I was the water guy. I was the water boy. And then all of a sudden, anyways, fast forwarding to now, when I'm an adult, and I go into Costco. I just put one AirPod in so I can listen to something, and if someone texts me, my phone's in my pocket.
The AirPod's a move. I do the same thing in my grocery store. Yeah, I always have an AirPod in.
And that's the biggest thing is I went in there and there are people just like walking slow, just like looking up like they were looking at it like at stars.
Oh,
or
you're
something.
in a museum. Well, for some people.
Yeah, seriously, like looking at like monkeys or something. And then all of a sudden, I'm walking around and saying like get out of my way. Like I'm just trying to get down to the. And then all of a sudden, I forgot to get something, so I had to go back against traffic,
like 3 miles.
Worse.
You got to travel 3 miles to go get something there. No, you want your steps. You go to a Costco for sure.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
See, I'm a Sunday morning. It's like clockwork. Every Sunday morning, I get up early. I mean, for early for me, so like 7, something like that, and like I go to my local grocery store, not a Costco member.
Hey, let me guess. I
mean, it's not going to be hard to guess.
Is it Giant?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
I knew it from where you live.
The Big G. So I go.
The OG.
It's like basically across the street from me. I get up, I go. It's quiet. There's not that many people there. I've got the same lady who bags my groceries every single Sunday morning.
What's her name?
That's the best part. We don't know each other's names. We don't necessarily have to have a conversation, but we have an understanding. It's like
okay.
hello, it's Sunday morning. Like usually there'll be like one line. Like yesterday I was like, hope you have a great holiday weekend. Hope you get some time off. She's like, I actually have tomorrow off. And I go, great. Have a lot of fun. And that's it.
Great.
That's it. The rest of the time is her spending time organizing my groceries the exact right way. And exactly. She's a wizard at it. Everything always fits somehow. It all always fits in my little bags that I bring. It's great, and it's quiet, and it's pretty empty that time of morning on a Sunday. So I have the AirPods in. I'm usually listening to. My favorite part now I listen to college football podcasts that recap Saturday games. And they release the episode super late Saturday, so Sunday morning it's right there for me. I love it. It's a great. I usually get myself a couple donuts from the bakery. They're fresh donuts.
They do look great,
and it's a wonderful experience. See, you're trying to part the seas at Costco, and you've got 500 Vietnamese families wandering around, and I'm taking my time casually through the aisles. Oh, did I forget something? Well, guess what? It's giant, so I only have to reach back like 10 feet to go get what I forgot, and then I have my lovely experience with the lady at the register, and we're good to go. It's a lovely. See, I couldn't do the Costco thing. Costco's too stressful for me. It's just there's too much going on. There's too many people.
And the best part was, so I had enough big things where I was like, I don't feel like being that guy because I've done the self-checkout there before. Self-checkout's pretty easily done, I should say, when it comes to Costco because, you can just, go through pretty quickly and stuff like that. You don't have to bag everything, obviously, to get the stupid Clorox box or something like that to stuff it in. But the biggest thing about it was I was like, all right, I'm going to go through the main aisle of the checkout lines and have them help me out a little bit. So I go through, I get it all done. I'm sweating head to toe because it's apparently 1,000 degrees in there because yesterday was blazing hot and it's going to be hotter tomorrow.
It's going to be like 100 degrees tomorrow or something.
Yeah, can't wait. So get this. You know how they always have the exit people at Costco?
Right. They check the receipt and they
yes.
Make sure you don't fit a TV in between your milk cartons.
And the best part is that the lines were backed up. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, come on now, let's speed this process up a little bit. We all know you don't check it.
Yeah.
Like you said, they see if you actually have an Apple computer in there.
That's the only thing they care about. Like if you throw in an extra container of grapes, they're not really losing a whole lot. But yeah, if the guy's throwing 3 iMacs in there underneath the Cheeto box, I think there's a problem there.
So the problem is that the first 3 people that were in front of me, the guy was, he was just doing the check mark. Doom.
Nice.
Like, just writing down the check mark. Then he gets to me, and it was like I was getting, I was at like the U.S.-Mexican border, and I was getting shaken down. Like, dude, the guy literally, I was there for almost a minute. Like, a full minute.
You just look like one of those guys, I guess, that's going to steal from the store.
I literally had rotisserie chicken, which is a $5 deal. That's the best deal in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. I had paper towels. I had Advil and like a few other things. But I went off to the side. Here's the thing.
Right.
I went off to the side after the checkout line and packed it all up into a couple boxes.
Right.
And so I could have an easier time carrying it in. And all of a sudden, the guy he starts looking at me. Like he looks down and then looks up. And we're like, oh, there he goes.
Sorry, sneezing like crazy today. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, he looks up at me, and I look at him, and we're like deadlocked eyes for at least 5 to 10 seconds. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you looking at me for? First of all, it's a $287 order.
Right.
Let's be real here. If I'm stealing an iMac or AirPods or something like that, I'm not going to spend $300.
Right.
On paper towels. So he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he looks down, and then he starts moving all of my stuff around. I'm like, dude, I just packed the Franks and the ranch. I just packed all that stuff, and you're moving it around now, and it was all snug and feeling good. And then all of a sudden, this guy's moving it around, and I'm like, Ezekiel, like, dude, you got he had a name tag.
Oh, okay.
I'm like,
that's an interesting insult.
Yeah. I was like, dude, like, what are you doing, man? Like, stop moving my chicken around and just let me go.
What is
Like,
he trying to? What does he think that you're stealing at this point? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the bare essentials. The bare essentials were in there. I mean, like I said, I had maybe 16 items. I had paper towels, I had turkey, I had chicken, I had a rotisserie chicken, I had Advil, I had Coke Zero. I mean, I'm like the main essentials. And this
Yeah.
guy is literally looking at me like a teacher that is over your shoulder that says, "Hey, everybody, hopefully you guys read the questions all over again." And
Also,
like you're taking
if
a
you were
test.
stealing, what's he gonna do about it? He's not a cop. Like, what's he
Yeah,
gonna?
yeah.
What's he gonna do?
Chase me down?
Yeah,
It's
no.
like I can't even get out of this parking lot because you got people holding their blinkers on in the parking lot,
No,
waiting
yeah.
for someone to load up their flowers. Like, oh my god,
That's
it
a
was
whole
like
other experience. The Costco parking lot is like its own traumatizing thing because nobody knows how to drive in that lot. Everybody is waiting for somebody. I mean, like they'll be parked outside your car. You're still inside, and they're like sitting there waiting for the spot, waiting for you to leave. You're like, I just got here.
Yeah, it was nuts because like these people are loading up their car, and I'm like zigzagging through it, and I'm like, look at this old lady over here, just like waiting for the spot. There's a spot 5 spots down the aisle here, and you're still wait. Either way, it was just I mean, and my mom makes fun of me all the time because this old fact. She's like, well, you shouldn't go to that Costco in the first place, and I'm like, Mom, I'm not experienced. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I don't really mind it, but because I have my AirPod in or whatever, and I'm just sitting
Right.
there just like jamming out or whatever, and just doing my thing. And also, I'm like a good like zigzagger, so I can zigzag through people pretty well. Now, I'm not the guy that's like you're going normal speed and he has to like run past you, like because he gets annoyed.
The quick shoppers, the ones that like, yeah.
Like I just came in to get a bag of lettuce or
The
something.
guy's
like
trying
that.
to like set a record. Like, how quickly
It's
can I
like,
get through?
if you really need to come get tomatoes, why don't you just go to Giant? Like,
Yeah.
it's not that hard. So that's the biggest thing is like I was like this was a nut job yesterday. It's right in front of Labor Day, but at the same time it was just it was crazy, dude.
No,
Like,
Costco
was
is
just
insane.
nuts.
No, it really is. It is one of the craziest places. But obviously, like you can get 500, pieces of cake for $3. Like that's why people go to Costco. You can
Yeah.
get that bulk buy. That bulk buy is key. It is crazy. But I still not a Costco member for now. We'll see how things change. As I get further into parenthood, and then next thing you know, it's like, man, I really do need to buy the big giant jug of cheese balls because giant isn't quite cutting it anymore at that point.
Well, dude, I ended up getting 35 Coke Zeros, 35 cans of Coke Zero,
Right.
for $17.
Yeah, it's great. That's why you go. That's why you go to
Pretty damn
Costco.
good.
Like that's the. Meanwhile, I'm paying like $500 for bananas at Giant because like everything's so expensive now at the grocery. But
You got to get the Visa card though. I'm looking
Okay.
into getting it because
Okay.
it's obviously a Costco card still, so it's
Right.
included into the price. But the thing about it is, my mom told me about this where you get like 4% cash back, you get rewards, you get all this kind of stuff, but you still get to shop at Costco. And you
Okay.
get cash back for gas, which you usually don't for all these different rewards programs.
There's
But-
your tip out there. Screw all the betting advice we give you. There's your tip right there. Costco Visa
Right.
credit card. That's what you need.
Yeah.
We'll move into the meat of the program here. We'll start with obviously with the season coming up here. Mike and I were looking at just like we did with baseball, where we did these sweats throughout the season. Which I think you had reported that the Royals are the one that tanked our sweat, right?
Yeah,
it
they
looks like.
really effed us.
Yeah, I mean, because they just moved into the last, they're the last place team in all of baseball now, and we needed them to get to what 60 wins
60,
or something,
yeah.
and they have
I'm
no
looking
shot.
it up right now. The problem is that the Royals weren't even projected to be last in their division, and they're
Right.
just literally they are god off. I mean, they're winning like 2 out of 10 games every time. So right now we had the Tigers getting 60 wins. They're at 63.
Yeah, they're at 63. Yep.
The Ching, and then all of a sudden you had going into the National League, you had the Reds at 71, Pirates at 63, so they're all winners. And then you had the Rockies, they're at 50, so they still have a shot to get there.
Yeah, they got a shot.
At the same time, 10 games. But then obviously, like you said, the Royals, who are at 43 games, and again, every single time I look at their record, I check it like every week. Every single time I looked at it, they're like, oh, their last 10, they're 2-8. It's like
So they played 139 games.
Yeah.
So they have 23 left. Is that the right math?
They got to win
there?
17 of those.
Or is it 33 left? I don't know the math.
Now it wasn't a huge payout though. I mean, it was only $20
Right.
for like 200, but at the same time, we didn't expect the Royals out of all those teams to be the ones that screwed us.
Yeah, I mean, that's awful. I mean, that's a really bad season for for the Royals. I mean, the Rockies, okay, 50 wins, they still have a chance, but man, the Royals screwed us here. But now we're hoping that these teams don't screw us because we're looking at some
Yes.
year-long division sweat bet parlays here. So I'll let you run through yours. The AFC. I mean, we're both betting on both of these, but the AFC, and then I'll deliver my NFC sweats.
So the bets have been placed. We have already placed them pre-show. And mine's a little bit more ballsy, I guess you could say, but I
Sure.
love the sweats. I love the sweats. People make fun of me when I use the word sweat, but it's a great word because you were literally sweating out the bet. And for the AFC, I went with a few different avenues when it comes to who you're going to bet on because there's been a lot of different. I guess you could say there's been a lot of different moves and all the teams and who's on the teams, different things of that nature. So the first team I'm going to go with, I'm going to do the chalk, which I didn't have it at first, Ben. I will say that. The Cincinnati Bengals, I am taking them. They're about like plus 180 or something of that nature. My DraftKings isn't working right now, so I don't know why. But at the same time, they're like plus 180 or so. So I took them because I don't believe in the Ravens too much. The Browns definitely not. They've not shown me anything. But I was looking at the Steelers. I was looking at the Steelers because the hype around Kenny Pickett and George Pickens has been, through the roof.
Sure.
So you're thinking about it and saying, okay, George Pickens, everyone's saying that he's going to be the next big thing. I love me some Deontay Johnson. So what's going to happen? And also, I've seen one of the sleepers is the backup running back for the Steelers, who I'm spacing on the name right now, who might be a good play for fantasy owners as well. So if you're looking at the Steelers, I was possibly going to have them at plus 500, but I was like, I don't know. I just think that there's too many.
Jalen Warren.
Yeah, Jalen Warren. There you go. And just for all you fantasy owners out there, I got a draft tomorrow night, which is my first draft in like 6 years.
Right,
but it's with my golf team that I coach, so it doesn't really mean anything because there's no money in it. So whatever.
You'd probably get in trouble for doing that if there was money involved, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep that on the DL. But then all of a sudden, I just went with the chalk with the Bengals. So the Bengals, pretty simple, Yeah. It's like plus 180 or whatever. They're somewhat favored over the Ravens. Next up, I'm going to look at the AFC South. So the AFC South, I went with the chalk. I went with the Jags. I think Trevor Lawrence, T-Law is going to go up there, and
nobody else is really going to go and take that division.
Yeah, the Colts and the Texans are probably going to get a top 5 pick next year, and the Titans, they're always talking about Mike Vrabel, but Mike Vrabel isn't playing on the field, so I'm not going to go with them. So I went with the Jags. They were a favorite in there as well. But going along, I'll move on to the AFC East. I went with the Jets.
Yeah,
I
this
went
is
with
where
the
you get a
Jets.
little spicy here.
Yes, spicy. A little bit of cayenne in there. So I ended up going with the Jets, cooking a little bit because of the sole fact that I think that Lazard being added to the mix with Chris, not Chris Olave. What's the other one's name? I'm spacing on it right now. Garrett Wilson. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was spacing on it. I mean, we're not in the football mode yet. So that's the problem. So with Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, who's always been a good, and then DJ Uzama, who was on the Bengals, who was a pretty solid tight end. Now he's over with the Jets as well. So you're looking at it and saying they could fight with the Bills. And I did like the plus like 230 or whatever it was on DraftKings for the Jets. It boosted it up a lot for the overall payout. And I also think the Bills are going to suffer a little bit with Tremaine Edmonds being gone from their team because he was like the field general, and now he's not on the squad anymore.
Sure.
And then moving on to the last team that I got for our AFC sweats, I got the Chargers. I
know you like
winning
some Justin Herbert.
Oh,
That's
I
for
love
sure.
me some
That's
Herbie.
That's your guy.
Herbie
fully
fully
loaded. Yep.
I got the Chargers in this one because if you think about it, the Chargers lost that huge lead to the Jags in the playoffs, and also looking at them against the Chiefs, they basically went out there and had 2 games that was like within 4 points against the top dog. So I just think when you're looking at the Chargers, and also I looked at the Chiefs' Kadarius Toney is like one of their best receivers. I was like, I'm not really too thrilled with the Chiefs receiving core, but I'll go with the Chargers in that AFC West. So if you're looking at the overall bet, we put $10 each into it. The $20 pays $1,139.50.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice split for both of us.
Definitely a nice payout there. I like it. I think the Jets are an interesting one, just because, I think we don't really know fully what we're going to see from Rodgers this year.
Right.
But I think they're kind of a sleeper pick that I think some people are starting to go towards. So I like that one. The rest of them fully in agreement on those. I like the AFC sweat. NFC sweat, nothing too special here. A lot of chalk. I mean, Eagles in the NFC East. What are you going to pick, the Cowboys to win the division? No, definitely not the Giants. Commanders will hopefully be there soon, but I don't think this is going to be the season for that. Went with the Eagles there, kind of obvious favorites. NFC West, I went Niners. I think, obviously that's another one where I don't really see a whole lot of argument against that in that division. NFC North, I went with my boys, Detroit Lions. They're in plus money to win the division right now. They're the favorite. I'm going to take them. And then NFC South. This is an interesting one. I think the two teams people are kind of thinking will contend are the Falcons and the Saints for the division title. You could kind of flip a coin. I went Falcons because they had the plus money. Saints were, I think, minus 100 something. So went with the Falcons. All in all, not as big of a payout. It's about half of kind of what we're looking at with the AFC one, but still plus 2180. We're looking at around $580 total payout. So.
I agree with all those picks, though. That's the thing is you look at it, and I mentioned to you off air that the AFC is a little bit more tight knit when it comes to all the teams in the division. They don't have really a huge favorite besides the Chiefs, but you're looking at it and saying all those are pretty solid choices. And for $20 to win 580 is pretty good payout as well. So, and also I want to mention with the Chargers as well that Kellen Moore is now the offensive coordinator over there. And they always said that the offense was kind of like sputtering over what they had. But Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator and had Dak kind of lighten it up for a couple years, is now over in San Diego. That's going to be a huge boost for them as well. Overall, it's definitely going to be one of those times where if you want to check out the sweats, these are some sweats that we're putting in. So, again, AFC, Jags, Bengals, Jets, Chargers, and then Ben chose the NFC, which is the Falcons, Eagles, Niners, and Lions.
Let's end. Speaking of NFL stuff, let's stick with that and let's finally talk a little Commanders. The Commanders. Obviously, the season is steadily approaching. We're about 6 days, just under a week away from the Commanders and Cardinals kicking off at 1 p.m. on Fox. I've got my YouTube TV ready to go for the season. I'm excited for that.
So hey, what's the deal with this though? Like, what's the deal with the Sunday ticket? Because obviously, as you know, Jess is a Steelers fan, and I was looking into that, and I saw it was like $280 or something like that for the year. I'm not exactly sure. Like,
it depends. There were a couple different like packages going around, but yeah, I mean, usually a Sunday ticket. I mean, I remember when I was getting it back in the day in college, like. Because you'd get like a student one and stuff, but it was usually somewhere around $300 for the full season. So it's just like, all the games that aren't on, major cable. So like just like for me, it was always big with the Lions because the Lions are never usually on national TV. So, I'd always watch the Lions games through that. As long as the game's not, since I have YouTube TV and I get the regular cable games, I'll be watching those too. But I just mean, that's just what it is. It's just like, in order to watch any of those outside market games, you have to have Sunday ticket. But I know NFL also is doing that, like NFL Plus on the app, where you like could also, and that's definitely cheaper, where you can, I think, watch out-of-market games on your phone, but you can't watch it really like on the TV, I guess, unless you cast it. I don't know. But I would look at either NFL Plus through the NFL app or, Sunday Ticket is what I have. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for, obviously, the Lions' first game of the year will be on national TV. They're the only ones playing. But, Commanders, as far as Commanders go, this is an interesting year for the Commanders, obviously. I mean, I think there's a lot of hype as far as just not for a team to, like, win it all here, but there's a lot of hype around this organization, kind of what the new regime will bring into play here, Josh Harris, and kind of like how different the game day experience will be this season versus seasons past. Like I know they've already been, some of the sponsors are coming back now. You've got, like some of the vendors and beer vendors coming back. You've got, different deal. They're going to be running a bunch of different promotions and deals, and they're just trying to get the fans back to the stadium that had swore off FedEx because of Dan Snyder. And I think, supposedly this first game is going to be pretty well attended. I think it's already predicted to be a sellout at this point, which is awesome. I mean, obviously that's going to look really good on TV to have a full crowd, but I guess there's a lot of question marks still around this team, and that's what we can kind of get into here. I mean, the number one question mark, of course, is going to be Sam Howell. I mean, we're talking about a guy who we're looking at like half a game, from last year, whatever, how much he played on that final game last season was basically won him the job for the future here, and he's looked pretty good. Obviously, like the team's super high on him, but I think there's going to be a lot of what are we going to get from Sam Howell this year that we weren't getting from Heineke? The guy's 22. He's not he's not 19 years old or anything like that. But still he's only played in one game, right? I mean, like that he's that's it. Now he had a great game. I mean, 3 touchdowns or whatever. But I'm just interested to see like what are we going to get the Sam Howell that everyone thinks we're going to be getting, or is it going to be a situation where like, oh, this guy isn't necessarily going to save our franchise? That's a big question.
Right, and that's the biggest thing is like you're saying he's only played one game in the NFL. Now, he did have a lot of college experience, but everyone knows that college is different than the NFL.
Right,
it's a lot faster, and it's the exact same. Like I go back and I played college lacrosse, and the funny thing about it is when you go up to a certain level, you're not playing with, say, in my experience, just high school kids anymore. You're playing with a lot of the better players from all their high schools.
Right.
And this is a situation where you're playing with NFLers now. You're not playing with this guy that got a preferred walk-on spot or something of that nature. So it's going to be a lot different. And you're looking at some of the defenses that he has to face when it comes to early in the season. I mean, you're facing Buffalo. Now, again, I already mentioned that, Tremaine Edmonds is not on the team anymore and all that kind of stuff for Buffalo, but they still got some good, Tredarius, is it Tredarius White? I think it's Tredarius, right?
I think so.
Anyway, I don't know, whatever. He's a good corner. Then you got Denver with Zertan and all the guys on their defense. And then obviously Philadelphia's defense is pretty damn good. So you're going to see him get kind of a warm-up game for Arizona, which is good. Maybe give his confidence up. But I think overall that he was a steal in the 5th round. And everyone's giving the hype and everyone's talking about, it's Sam Howell. Like, some people are saying that he's the worst quarterback in the league or the worst quarterback in the division or whatever the hell it may be. But in my perspective, I think that he's got a good group around him. I think the culture is now changing, obviously, as you mentioned, with Snyder out, and that brings a different type of energy, I guess you could say, to the team, to the organization, to the facilities, all that kind of stuff. So I think the Arizona game is a godsend because it actually gives him like, hey, this is real-time action. I'm playing a full game, this and that, whatever. But then how are you going to, react when you have to play Denver? How are you going to react when you play Buffalo and then Philly and all these kind of, and then you have prime time against Chicago. So it really comes down to, I think the barrier is going to be week maybe 9, around that time where you're about halfway through the season and see how this team is performing. Because if he's performing pretty well, then okay, let's ride it out. But if he's not, then it's like, we're taking 2 steps back again because now Jacoby Brissett is playing.
Yeah.
And then he's, I mean, we didn't lose that much because the 5th round pick, but at the same time, it's like, what's really going to happen? And no one knows. That's the problem is, I mean, even Ron, he didn't even know. If you go back to his clips, I mean, Ron didn't even know. He's like, oh, I never saw this guy before. And it's like, he's been on your team for an entire year. He's just, that guy's a buffoon.
I guess the good thing for Howell is, it's pretty much all the same guys as last year. So like, you know,
Yeah.
he worked with these guys in practice. He worked with Terry McLaurin, Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. Like these are all the same guys. It's not like he's working with a whole new, you know, wide receiver core or things like that. You know, he's still working with Antonio Gibson and Robinson in the backfield. So and then even the line itself, like, you know, Cosme's there, Leno's there, Sadiq Charles is there. So like,
Well, they picked up Wiley. So I mean, the line's not great, but
No.
as you're saying though, they still got some veterans on the line that can help him out.
yeah. So like in theory, he should be comfortable with this offense. He should be comfortable with the guys that he's throwing to because even though he only played in one game last year, we know he had reps in practice throwing to these guys, obviously. So you know there's that, and so I think. But you're right. I think when we start looking at week 8 and 9, I mean, there's that stretch where it's 3 of 4 games are on the road. You've got the New England game, the Seattle game, and the Dallas game with the New York Giants at home. Like that is a tough little slate there. So I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see where this team's at heading into that.
You got 5 of 7 on the road if you go from Atlanta all the way to Dallas.
Right.
That's going to be a tough stretch, like you said.
Yeah, so I mean, I think as far as expectations go, I mean, you look at the over under. I mean, I think the over under is 6.5 for wins for the Commanders this year. So I think there's not obviously high hopes for this team as far as league wide, and in my opinion, that's not a bad thing. I mean, if I'm from the Commanders fan point of view, I think you go look. I like being under the radar. I like, trying to get this core to really continue gelling. And then, hey, maybe you go make a couple really solid picks in the next year's draft. And then we're starting to attack for the division again and all the fans are back because they've put a great experience now at FedEx Field and all this sort of stuff. So I think there's nothing wrong with kind of laying in wait, playing spoiler, winning, getting a few games. Maybe you beat the Cowboys, both times. I mean, maybe, you never know.
Right.
And so, I think there's nothing wrong with being the spoiler team that's definitely not destined for the playoffs, but still has a decent season. So if 6.5 is the over under, I mean, I'm trying to think what I want to go here. I mean, 7 wins seems attainable. I mean, this was a 7-10 team last year, right? So I feel like
here, how about this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go through very, very quickly the schedule, and maybe it'll change your mind for what you think. Okay, I think these are gonna be wins. All right.
Okay, you think these are wins? Got it.
Arizona.
Yeah,
win.
We know that. Yeah.
Denver. I think it's a win.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because I think they're still gonna have growing pains with Russ and Sean Payton.
That Thursday night football, Chicago. What are you thinking there?
I'm actually going to try to go to that game, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So Arizona, Denver, win.
So 2.
Okay. Buffalo loss. Philly probably loss. Chicago, I think it's going to be a win.
Screw the Bears. I hate the Bears.
Yeah.
That's 3.
So 3 right there. Atlanta, I think it's a win.
Really?
I'm not even. Yes, I think Atlanta's going to be a win because I think
they're my division winner.
Yes, but you have to put it this way though.
Yeah, that's a bad.
The Commanders / Redskins have one of the best run defenses, I would say, in the entire. And that's the main guy they're going to try to go through is Bijan Robinson. So I think that's going to be a win.
Okay, so that's 4.
That's 4. I'm not even going to consider the New York and Philly game yet. New England, I think it's a win. I think Mac Jones is garbage. Okay, Seattle loss. New York, Dallas. I'm not going to go over those. Miami loss. And then I think if you go with L.A., that could be a win. We'll see. That's kind of 50-50 for me.
So that could be 6.
Then, but you have New York and San Fran. I think San Fran, honestly, is going to do one of those, we're going to sit our starters bit. No, they also get banged up like crazy anyways.
Yeah.
And that's a home game, so they have to come across the country, which I think they're going to kind of give everyone kind of the day off because they're probably going to win their division. So you look at 6 right there, and I already I didn't really discount, but there's also 6 division games. So say you win, I don't know 3 of those, half of them. I think that's doable.
Okay.
So right there, that's 9. Now
so you're going woof. So you're going 9 and 8.
9 and 8. 9 and 8.
Wow.
I think 9 and 8.
You think this team is going to get 2 more wins than last year's team?
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. Taylor Heineke was quarterback last year.
Yeah.
God, I can't. He's okay. He might be playing for the Falcons at that point. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah,
by the
I
way,
like the positivity. By the way,
I did. I tried. One of my buddies who loves Taylor Heineke. I tried to get him to make a bet because he said, "Oh yeah, I bet he's going to get by week 4. He's going to be the starter in Atlanta." And I said, "Put $100 on it. We'll see." And he was like, "I'm not going to do that." And I said, "Well, you're the one who made the bet."
yeah.
And it's he doesn't like sweats like we do.
Yeah, okay. I mean, 9-8 is interesting. I mean, I wonder what the odds are for the win total there. I mean, you might want to throw at least a couple bucks on that just in case.
I mean, can I edit that? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do a win total, like an alternate win total.
Win total.
Just go straight up. 9 wins.
Man, DraftKings, come on now. You got to work faster, man. I got some decent internet here. All right, here we go. Going to futures. Going to.
There's got to be like an alternate win
or
total.
wins. Here's wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Go to W. Let's scroll all the way down. All right, here we go. 9.5 is plus 475.
I mean, you know,
eight and a half is plus 275.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I feel like you got to do that. Over 8.5 is plus 310 for FanDuel.
Wow.
But I'm not doing that.
DraftKings is just screwing me here.
Yeah.
But over 6.5 is still plus money, plus 100.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 8.5. Screw it. Let's do it.
All right. Mike's doing 8.5. So I'm going 7-10. I think same record as last year, but I think there is going to be signs of improvement. While the record may be the same, I think there's going to be improvements made on the field. I think obviously from a front office standpoint, like ownership standpoint, I think it's going to be a fun year for Commanders fans. So yeah, I think it's not going to be a wasted effort. But they're certainly not winning the division, that's for sure, or even getting a wild card. I mean, trust me.
Yeah.
The Twitter hype is a little insane from some fans. So we'll move into another little. We're always doing something here. We've got a new challenge for the season here. By the way, Survivor comes back in a couple weeks, Wednesday nights. That's my show. Season 45.
I haven't watched since like season 37.
I've been watching every year, pretty much on the dot.
I love it, but I just
best show on TV, best host, Jeff Probst, best reality TV show host.
Dude, how much
throw your
work
Chris
does he get
Harrison
done?
out the window. It's Jeff Probst is the guy.
Chris Harrison. Yeah, what's the other guy? Phil. What's Phil's last name? The guy from Amazing Race.
Oh,
Phil,
I never watched Amazing Race.
Yeah. Phil. That's his name.
Yeah, Phil the future. Jeff Probst, best TV host. I mean, it's unbelievable how much work that guy does. Yeah, they do two seasons a year. There's a spring one and then a fall one, and
where does he stay when they're on their island? There's like a resort or something?
Yeah. I mean, they're in Fiji right now, so like they're doing like every season on the same island now since COVID. So it's literally they're just recycling like the same island. So they're probably just they got like probably a great little resort right now. Now it's you remember it used to be 39 days. Now it's like 24 or something. Like it's way shortened now.
That's lame.
Or 26. It might be 26 days. Again, because of COVID, I think they just the way the filming schedule had to be. But I don't know, it's just way shorter now. It's crazy.
So I'm sure there's less people then, right?
No, same people, but it's now you have to make alliances super quick. You gotta make a gut react. You can't just sit around thinking about decisions now. You gotta decide things quick.
Best season ever was the Amazon one, where I think Ethan might have won or something like that.
Oh.
Where they were out in Africa or something like that.
Sure.
And they had it was a circle of I don't know, not barbed wire, but it was sticks and stuff like that. It was like a circle, a little fort they made, and they had one tree in the middle. And they had I don't know.
I can't. I mean, it's been a while since.
Well, dude, that was season 3.
Best, yeah. Best season is Heroes versus Villains.
That's a good one.
But yeah,
Rupert.
Yeah. My guy Rupert.
Is he alive?
He's still alive. Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are dying lately.
Some people are. The old Rudy from season 1 is dead now, I think.
Well, no, I think he was dead 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty old. But yeah,
I don't even think he made it to the finale.
Yeah, I don't think he did. We're going with Survivor Challenge here for this NFL season. So we're always doing, spreads and things like that, all this different stuff. But I know Mike's a fan of the Survivor Challenge type pick, and so I decided, I'll hop in here. So we're doing a Survivor Challenge. Of course, you guys know how that works. Every week, you're making picks as far as the team to stay alive, and then once you use them, they're out. So. And we're calling it a 6-pack challenge because we decided, hey, let's make it a little fun. The loser will buy the winner a 6-pack of their favorite beer. So nice and easy there. All right, so I will go first. I decided to go with the Minnesota Vikings for Week 1. They're taking on the Bucks. The Bucks are obviously going to be taking quite a step back. The Vikings are, and my thinking here is the Vikings are one of those teams always where it's like you never know if you're getting good Kirk Cousins or bad Kirk Cousins from week to week. He'll look great, he'll look bad. So I'd rather take them early in a game that I figure super winnable, especially at home. Minnesota, they love always pack the stadium there. So I'm going with the Vikings over the Bucks. So Vikings will be out for me, and I'm fine with that they're going to be my first pick here.
So obviously, as some people who don't know about this, Survivor Challenge, as Ben said, you pick one team and then you can't pick up the rest of the season. So I became in love with Survivor Challenges because I was in a group of like 65 people or something like that. And there was a Survivor Challenge that I did like 2 years ago, and I ended up cashing in and made it the entire season without rebuying in because you're allowed to rebuy up to the 5th week, but you had to like multiply the entry.
Sure.
So it was kind of like, you're paying $50 to get back into a $10 entry thing. But I ended up winning that one and cashed in a ton of money.
Nice.
I mean, it was awesome because it was kind of, and I did a couple, sleepers and stuff like that, and like kind of not sleepers, but I would say like a little bit of risky plays. Week
Throughout
10.
the season, in order to win a challenge like this, like you do have to have some pretty lucky weeks where like, hey, you're going to go with the underdog here and see what happens, sort of deal.
Yeah. So I ended up getting lucky, in the last like 3 weeks were all almost shoe-ins. I mean, literally, like they were like 10-point favorites and whatnot, and also like quarterbacks were hurt and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of crazy, but. My pick this week, I'm getting it out of the way. I'm going with the Commanders.
Okay.
I think we're not really going to have too many easy wins. I think this is going to be an easy win because, I mean, they're starting – I don't even know who the hell they're starting. And they even announced it yet for the Cardinals. So it's like you're looking at it and saying they are trying to, have either Josh Dobbs or, I don't know, Carter Toon or whatever the hell the guy's name is over there. Start in Arizona, and everyone in Arizona is like, we're out.
Dobbs is right now on the depth chart is number 1 as a starter.
He literally just joined the team like a week ago.
Yeah.
So it's like there's zero chance that they lose this game, and I'm literally guaranteeing a win here. But again, like Ben said, you never know what's going to happen. You might get lucky here and there. But if I do lose, or if Ben loses in week 1, then we'll have to have a rebuy and make it a 12-pack. So
yeah, no, exactly. That's how you rebuy. If you to rebuy in, and we'll do a cutoff, like you said, like by week 5 or week 6 or whatever.
So case.
Well, yeah, literally the buy-in is adding another 6 beers to the thing. So that's how you buy back in.
A keg.
So you're going Commanders. I'm going the Vikings, and I think. I feel comfortable with both of these picks here. Like I feel like it's a good solid start because you're right. I mean, the strategy here is you do have to really figure out where like you don't want to leave yourself with all underdogs in the last few weeks of the season. Yeah. You got to kind of make some of those stealthy picks throughout the year. So we'll see what happens. And then of course we will be bringing back the money line this season. This is not going to be the money line today. This is kind of like a casual money line today, where we're going to just give you some picks, but we're not going to start tracking them until next week because we want to wait for the season really to like kind of fully kick off. But as far as some of the picks and some of the things I was looking at, as far as like dogs, I mean, I really like the Lions plus 6.5 against the Chiefs. I mean, even if I wasn't a Lions fan, I feel like I like that pick. I mean, I do think. There's, obviously, I don't know if the Lions are going to necessarily win this game, but I do like the idea of them being able to cover that 6.5.
Maybe a backdoor cover, yeah.
Yeah, because I think also, like, keep in mind, like week one, a lot of weird things happen. Week one, teams aren't fully ready to go; they're not settled in. Maybe the Chiefs, because they're going to be celebrating last year's thing, like maybe their head's not fully in it for week one too. Sometimes, I really like the Lions covering the 6.5 there. And then as far as my lock, I'm buying into the hype train for sure, but for good reason with Colorado and Nebraska. I mean, Colorado being a 2.5 point favorite against Nebraska is interesting because I did watch that full Nebraska game last week. I got my buddy Ian, who's been on the show, who's a big Nebraska fan, and I just feel like I feel like Nebraska is not looking that great to start the year. Meanwhile, Colorado's obviously looking very good. So I love Colorado minus 2.5 against Nebraska.
Well, remember that Matt Rule, who is now the Nebraska head coach,
Yep.
he has in the past at his previous colleges has been terrible in the first season. Then the next 2 seasons, he increases his win total every single time because he gets his full recruiting class in there and all that kind of stuff. So maybe Nebraska might have a year next year. We'll see.
Right.
So my lock is with the NFL. I'm going with the Ravens over Houston at 10 points.
Fair.
Minus 10, I'll go with that. Houston's terrible. If C.J. Stroud goes out there and performs at all, we'll see. But they're in Baltimore. Everyone's healthy for the most part. Lamar Jackson's got a new deal. So I'm going to go with them winning by double digits. And then this funny story with my dog is Texas State plus 11.5 at Texas San Antonio because Texas State just upset Baylor. And
right.
That was crazy because they upset Baylor and they scored over 40 points. I mean, they demolished Baylor. So it's kind of crazy. So I'm going to go with my elementary school mascot, the Bobcats, over the Roadrunners as my dog, 11.5.
All right. So, as far as college football, we were talking about it before the show. Yeah, week one, not great. Besides the Colorado TCU game, which was so fun to watch. Team going back and forth. Here's one thing, though. It's like, obviously, not taking anything away from Dion and Colorado. That's a big game against a top 20 team. But let's remember, this is not the TCU from last year. It's not. They have like 2 or 3 of the same starters from that team that was in the in the Final Four there. So, let's just remember that. But it is still, again, a top 20 team. Huge win to have on the resume, especially for a Colorado team that, won one freaking game last year. So, to start off your season like that was fun. And then you had just some clunkers. Mississippi 73-7 against Mercer. Oregon 81-7 against Portland State. What was the game where the guy was crying? The coach was crying on the sideline. Was that the?
Because they lost.
Was that the Oklahoma game?
Arkansas State and Oklahoma. I think it was 73 to
where
nothing.
The head coach. Yeah. It was 73-0. I think the head coach was from Arkansas State was crying on the sideline.
I'd be crying too if my ass just got beat.
Yeah, I mean they got destroyed. Yeah, they're 73-0. That's a huge one. And then you had some games that looked like they were gonna be pretty good that really weren't. I think namely that UNC-NC State game was something where it was kind of like, oh, maybe this is going to be a good game. UNC wins 31-17. We were talking about the Florida State game. That was close for a little bit, and then Florida State ran away with it. I was kind of hoping San Jose State would give Oregon State a game. They did not. 42-17. Bama won big. Penn State, I was hoping West Virginia would give them a pretty good game, 38-15. So we're hopefully week 2 in college football gives us something else. I'm looking at the slate here. Mississippi Tulane might be pretty good. We're talking about 2 top 25 teams. Besides that, Texas Alabama. Obviously that that'll
be a great one.
That should be a good one. Is
that at 4:30 or 8 o'clock?
That's a 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay, yeah. So and I think they're in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yes. Yep. So that should be pretty good. Besides that, Stanford at USC. I don't know. I feel like USC is still just so damn good. I think they'll run away with that. So
I wonder what the odds are on betting on USC as the champion this year.
I don't know, but I mean, I loved that team last year. I mean, again, my big bit is I record every single college football game that airs on TV through YouTube TV, and then I just watch them quickly. Like I fast forward through all the commercials,
Right.
and I'll usually do the skip ahead. So I'm just watching each snap, basically. Like I'm not like all the stuff in between plays. Like I skip through that, and you know I can zoom through these games pretty easily. I mean, and I love just watching through them. I mean, this weekend wasn't a whole lot to enjoy. I mean, we were talking on text. Like, I did watch the Tech game the next day and things like that. And, you know, some things to like about Grant Wells' performance. Like, I think, like, there were some really nice moments. There were some not so nice moments, but, I mean, overall, a win's a win. So I think you'll take that in week one.
There you go. USC plus 1,400 to win the national championship.
I mean, I wouldn't mind throwing a couple bucks on that. I mean,
So
why not?
the Commanders over 8.5, and the I saw that in my bet slip.
Just tie it
Plus
in.
5,500. That's
Man.
hilarious.
That's you got an interesting slip there. I mean, I still have. I feel like there was one other sweat that I had for over 69.5 wins. Detroit Tigers was it was minus money though. It was minus 105 when I placed it, I guess. But that I mean that should hit. I think they're at 63 or something.
63, I think so.
So you know that'll hit. That was like my only. And then I have my Europe winning the Ryder Cup plus 140.
Hey, if you go Oregon, Bo Nix 3,500.
Oh, okay, 3,500. Jeez. Okay.
I want to throw something. I like these futures where I can actually pay attention to a team that I usually wouldn't pay attention to.
No, 100%. You can like be rooting for them in different scenarios and all that sort of stuff. Before we wrap the show, we'll hit up the trivia, Mike's Trivia Corner, as we like to do. As I usually get the questions wrong, but you can play along at home. What question do we have tonight?
So everyone knows that, you know, our typical format. Now we're switching it up a little bit. We're going to have the bookends of the fun stuff. So we start and end the show with the most fun things. So from now on, if that's all you give a S about, then just either wait and then fast forward or do something like that. So here we go. I'm going to reword this question because it is somewhat easy. And I think you would easily get it if I read it just outright. For the DC Sports Trivia question of the week. What 2000 film is loosely based on a story of the 1987 Redskins? I took out like maybe 7 words there.
2000 film.
Yes.
Loosely based on the Redskins.
Now, if you're having trouble, I can read the entire thing and just leave out the actor's name.
I would like... I'm trying to think if I want to get like... But probably if you reveal an actor name, it will probably make it too obvious.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, read the entire thing. You said so you can read it with and leave out the actor name.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that.
What 2000 sports comedy film is loosely based on the story of the 1987 Redskins?
Sports
So I gave you the genre.
Yeah,
There you go.
Sports well, yeah, I would hope it would be a sports comedy if it's based on the Redskins.
Well, it could be a sports movie. Like Remember the Titans isn't really like a sports comedy, you know?
Yeah, true. I do. I had one pop into my mind, and I'm not 100% sure if it's right because to me it seems like it came out earlier than 2000, and that's what's throwing me off. Because 2000, it's such a weird year because it's like, is it a 90s movie or is it a 2000s movie? It's like 2000. Like how many movies came out on freaking 2000? I'll tell you an actor name that came to my head because I feel like they're in this movie. Okay. And I just need so that my question will be, is this person in the movie? And you can just give me a yes or no.
Yep.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Because I'm picturing Keanu Reeves as a football player, and I believe it's The Replacements.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That was the actor's name.
You notice that it's not.
Question.
You notice I don't know where my bell is, but yeah, when it's not a straight up sports question. When it's a movie question, that's when your boy performs, I guess.
What 2000 sports comedy film starring Keanu Reeves is loosely
Yeah.
based on the story of the 1987 Redskins? The
Gene
Replacements.
Hackman in that movie as well.
Nigel Gruff.
Yeah, we just watched
That's
the
not the real
Royal
name of the guy.
the Royal Tenenbaums, where Gene Hackman was in as well. So Gene Hackman was kind of on my mind actually.
Dude,
So
he's awesome. Gene Hackman's a legend.
and he's a legend because he also like he quit acting like forever, like 10 years ago or whatever it was, and now he just like lives his life. He's rich. He lives out somewhere remote. I feel like
Yeah.
like Arizona or I don't know somewhere, and he just like he just is living his life. He's not in the public eye anymore.
Here's
He
a
just
question
does his
for
own
you.
thing.
What movies are his better ones? Are they war movies / action, or are they more sports, or are
Man, he's been in some
they?
solid sports movies.
Because I can name a lot of different roles he's had.
Yeah, he's no,
There's-
you're right. He was multifaceted. I mean, because like he was in kind of like action type movies. I mean,
Behind Enemy
what is it? The
Lines.
French Connection is like the big one that he was in, like when he was younger. Behind enemy lines, and then you have like your Hoosiers and things like
Yeah.
that for the sports side.
Runaway Jury.
Yeah. I mean, like I think because there's something about the Gene Hackman like angry voice or whatever. Like there's something about that like
We're gonna get you,
stern-
son. We're gonna get you.
that like stern action voice from Gene Hackman, where I think like those are probably my favorite. But I will say, sports Gene Hackman is solid. I mean, Hoosiers
Yeah.
is a fantastic movie. It's one of the best sports movies of all time. And so like hell of an actor, dude. Like no, that guy was an
Behind
absolute
Enemy
killer.
Lines is such an underrated film. Now,
Yeah.
it's not the best produced film. I will say that as like
Yeah.
a war movie or something like that. But that was like Owen Wilson before Owen Wilson became Owen Wilson.
Right.
You know, that was like him like in a totally different role. Because now Owen Wilson's Vince Vaughn's buddy, like
Yeah.
doing the Wedding Crashers and all that kind of stuff, the internship, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
you're thinking about it, that was him when he was in a totally different role, like just entering into acting, I think.
No, like he did. So he and Luke did some movies with Wes and like their first movies were Wes Anderson movie called like Bottle Rocket or something like that, and then and then like he's done like every Wes Anderson movie basically, but then he's also he did the comedy stuff, but he's done a few serious roles too. No, I agree. I mean there's another guy, hell of an actor, Owen Wilson. Like
Well, here's another question, real fast before we end here. Now, I like we're going to acting. Now, what's the handicap for like what's the spread right here
Yeah.
on Owen Wilson versus Luke Wilson? Like 3.5 for Owen.
I mean I think Owen definitely has an edge, but I mean I think Luke Wilson is underrated. I think that
Yeah.
guy is actually like a
Old
pretty,
school, Legally
Yeah,
Blonde.
I mean, dude, think about it. Think about it, old school. I mean, just like in that movie. I mean, like, man, I think the gap is a lot smaller than some people might think.
Yeah.
Between those two, because I think Luke Wilson honestly is really solid. What was the one he was in that? Wasn't he in that weird horror movie where like it's like a? I'm gonna have.
I know there was a movie that he
was.
was in that was called Idiocracy.
Well, yeah, he's really good in that too.
I only watched about 30 minutes of that, and I couldn't watch anymore.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird movie, but I feel like he was in a horror movie too. I remember seeing. I'm scrolling through. All right, let me look at Luke Wilson's filmography here.
Because Owen Wilson's in bigger movies,
Yeah,
but Luke Wilson is in big movies, but he's just like a subtle, like a slider coming
he was
out.
in
like,
Charlie's Angels. He was in Legally
Yep.
Blonde. He was in Old School, obviously. Legally Blonde 2. He was in Stuck on You. He was in Anchorman.
Yeah, he was one of the anchors.
He was in. I'm telling you, there
different
was
channel.
definitely a horror. Yeah, Idiocracy, Blades of Glory. He was in there. Vacancy. That's the horror movie he was in. A married couple becomes stranded at an isolated motel and finds hidden video cameras in their room. They soon realize that unless they escape, they'll be the next victims of a snuff film. Yeah, it was him and Kate Beckinsale. The movie only has like a 6 out of 10 on. He was in 3:10 to Yuma. Luke Wilson. I remember. Yeah. I
Oh
vaguely remember that.
yeah. That was see, look again. Once again, he was in the part that was like 5 minutes long, where
Yeah.
they had what's his face, the guy, I can't think of the
He
name
also
of it.
played Roger Goodell in that Concussion movie.
I never watched that movie yet. I haven't seen it yet.
It's not very good.
But overall, like we're saying, he's like
yeah.
a really good supporting actor that comes
He's
in.
a role player. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not the
six man.
fastball.
He's a
but
6 man.
He's a nice slider with a 2-1 count that you're trying to trick up the batter with.
He's a 6 man of the year for sure. Like he's definitely like he provides valuable minutes, does his job for sure. Yeah. Who knew that we would be talking about Luke Wilson at the end of this episode? We started with Costco. We end with Luke Wilson, and some sports in the middle there. We are glad to be back here. Looking forward to another great football season. Hopefully, hopefully you guys have some bets going yourselves. If you want to throw any bets our way, let us know at the DC Crossover and at Cerrone16. You can also comment, of course, on the YouTube or the TikTok, the DC Crossover Podcast Talk. And besides that, we will. And I do have our boy John Z ready here.
Oh, he's loaded up.
Yeah, loaded up. I added him to the new iPad.
Dude,
so.
the Commanders play the Bears Thursday night. We have to get him on, dude. The infamous
John C.
I mean, the best
never
part
make
was
an appearance on this show.
the best part was that we wanted to get him on and like not talk about sports at all, but say we were going to talk about the Bears,
Yeah.
and then talk about like his best deep dish pizza.
Yeah, I want to know everything about his life. Like, is he trapped somewhere? Like, he's always just stuck in the same room. It's like, is he able to leave that room or not?
I'm going to reach out to him.
Yeah, might as well.
About 4 weeks.
John Z, take us out. DC Crossover 154 in the books.